Well, over the past few weeks, there have been several cases coming to light involving sexual abuse, including allegations that led to an investigation at Penn State. According to Parents for Megan's Law, 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 6 boys is sexually abused before the age of 18. 93% of juvenile victims know their perpetrators. Only 10% of child sexual assault victims report it to police, and the average sentence for perpetrators is 128 days in jail. As a parent, how can you teach your child to recognize a predator and know how to protect your children? Well, joining us now is Tyrone White. He's author of Parenting a Winner, and on the phone with us is Attorney General Mike Dewine. We will talk with him in just a moment. Thank you so much for joining us, Tyrone.
You're quite welcome.
What are the signs of sexual abuse? How can parents know this is happening to their children?
Well, paying attention to their child's behavior. If they're starting to become sullen, or reactions that they may observe in their children's demeanor once certain individuals are around, are quick telltale signs. Or if there's passing conversations that really seem out of place and a child may drop hints here and there, parents really should pay attention to those indicators and then follow up with the child.
What types of effects does sexual abuse have on children later at that moment or later on in life?
Yes, when we look at males that are victimized, and let's say by females, we find that males begin to objectify women and see them as objects. When we look at young girls, we see that, and with boys, we see the effects being lack of trust in relationships, as well as feelings of inadequacy that also surface in the victim.
Now, it's funny because a lot of perpetrators don't really have a criminal background. You know, how can you recognize? It's hard to recognize who can be one.
You're absolutely right, and that really raises a big issue because by the time we catch a predator for the first time, they victimize on average 32 people, and you're right, they have no criminal record. And so the indicators, let me give you a couple. Anytime an adult or another person pays specific attention to your child to the exclusion of others, they do things without getting your consent, such as providing gifts or opportunities that the parent may not be aware of. Or there is a different type of predator that also tries to groom the family members of the child to win the family members' trust. And so those are things that you have to pay attention to, that if they're, you know, very open and trying to gain your trust, is there something more to it than just someone that's just taking an interest in your child?
All right, and one more question before we get Attorney General Mike Dewine on the phone with us. What should a parent do if sexual abuse has happened to their child? What are the next steps? The
next steps is report it to law enforcement. Call the local police department, let them begin the investigation, talk to a guidance counselor, and also think about seriously getting the child into therapy. That can work in concert with moving toward an effective prosecution.
Well, it's interesting. We just learned that the average sentence is 128 days in jail. That's all. Attorney General Mike Dewine, you're on the phone. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're actually launching a new initiative, Crimes Against Children. And that's the initiative. That's what it's called. Can you explain what that is?
Well, you know, I became interested in this issue, if we can call it an issue. It's really a tragedy. When I was a county prosecuting attorney back in the 1970s, and I was newly elected, I was 29 years of age, and I think the thing that surprised me most about what I saw in that office was the sexual abuse that was occurring against children. I was just shocked by it, and frankly, I'm still shocked by it. I think, you know, the Penn State situation, what many times is not reported, and you're doing a great job this morning talking about it, but it is just one more example of something that occurs every single day in America, every single day in the state of Ohio, and that is sexual predators who are targeting our children and going after them. We've been working for, I guess about 6 weeks intensively before the Penn State situation came out to come up with a really comprehensive effort in the Attorney General's office to go after these sexual predators. And we're doing it in a number of ways, but I'll just give you two examples. We've set up an entire new unit at BCI, which is our investigation unit and crime lab in the Attorney General's office, to go after these sexual predators. And we're doing several different things. One is we will have people, law enforcement officers, who will be trolling the internet, going up and trying to make contact with these sexual predators. And it's an amazing thing. I've seen this done before. When someone, law enforcement officer, can go on the internet, pose as a 12-year-old boy, 14-year-old girl, and it's just amazing. Instantly, within 30 seconds, 45 seconds sometimes, there's hits. These sexual predators are out there trying to lure that child. And so we're going to do it. We're going to go after them. We're going to lure them into meetings. We're going to arrest them, and we're going to prosecute them. Another area that we're working on has to do with the pornography of children, minors pornography, where children are the victims. Children are the object of the pornography. And every time this occurs, the child is victimized again. And we've also found that there's a large number of people who look at this pornography, who then not only just look at it, stay at home and look at it, but go out and act on it and molest children. And so we will be again, going up on the internet with these people who are sharing files, sharing these pictures, and going after and targeting them as well.
And you raise a good point, because when we look at predators, as you know, Attorney General, many of them are collectors. And so they do harbor or have in their possession video clips, photographs, and other things that are kind of residue of the victimization that they've perpetrated on children. One thing I'd like to just offer to you, Attorney General, as well as to the viewers, is I have constructed a mini training on video. If you go to CoachTyVideo.com, your viewers, as well as if you'd like to use that, almost said Senator, but the Ohio Attorney General Dewine, you can look at that, and that'll provide more information, which is hard to get out in just a snapshot of a news clip.
Good. Well, that's great. That's great.
We want to thank you both so much for joining us. The whole point is to raise public awareness of this, and the Crimes Against Children initiative is just wonderful. Attorney General Dewine, thank you so much for joining us. And actually, the hotline for victims is 1-800-656-HOPE. So thank you again for joining us. Attorney General, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you today.
Tyrone, always wonderful to have you with us as well.
Thank you.
Well, coming up next.